Hello, blessed beings, and welcome to Above Below Tarot with me, Eva Luna. I am so pleased to be with you here this evening, or whenever this finds you. But here on the 11th of the 11th, not quite 11, but 2021. Nevertheless, I wonder if any of you can remember what you were doing on 11/11/2011. For the one celebration. I was reminiscing when everyone still thought the world was going to end. But yes, nevertheless, I come to you here this evening, just gone 11:11 p.m. But on this auspicious day, you know, as I've said before, I've been so feeling like not quite knowing what quite I want to do here, but knowing that I don't entirely want to do love readings. Nevertheless, what we resist persists, and I cannot think of anything more fitting to do on this day. So, wonderful ones, twin flames, divine masculines, divine feminines, however that manifests for you, but here is a love reading for this mirroring day. I mean, if one can't do a love mirror spread on such a mirroring day, when can one? So, last shuffle, seeing such strange cards flip out. Oh, and also what finally brought me to this is I was sitting meditating, and the message that I kept getting was there's a hidden message. So, precious ones, let us try and uncover this hidden message, and may this be whatever message you need to hear regarding your love situation, your divine twin, your divine self. Oh, I saw that one. That was the nothingness. And before that we had, oh goodness, okay, we went from the Fool to intensity to the nothingness. I mean, goodness gracious, that's going a full cycle story, but almost I feel in reverse. We're going from absolute darkness to absolute, I love how these colors blend as well, going to an absolute new fresh start. So I'm going to just leave these at the top of our spread and let's see where we go. Yes. Oh, goodness gracious, lovely ones. Some difficult cards coming out here. But I suppose that's the point. We need messages when things are less than easy, is it not so? Gosh. All right. Top of the deck. Bottom of the deck. Wow. Okay. Just from those energies, what I'm getting is there is a transformation process happening. Top of the deck, we have rebirth. Bottom of the deck, the dream. So a rebirth of and a dying of how we've thought of love previously, the romanticism we might have put on a love situation, and really coming at it from neither a completely negative perspective with the camel and neither completely positive perspective, but taking it from a fresh point of view, from the point of view of the child, and innocently looking at things with clean eyes, fresh eyes. So Starting off in our yin aspect, sorry, I know I always do this, but it's just trying to see where the story makes sense. I think we'll cross them. Okay. Yin aspect, we have the outsider, yang, totality. And the fact that these are both fives, I think, is interesting. So very much balanced in that body space. But now feeling in the present moment, yes, locked out. I think what is happening with okay, in the yin, however that is, take it as it resonates. Energies are obviously fluid. But in the yin aspect, needing to address the child within and go and speak to the child within and remind this dear precious soul that while they are feeling so locked out, you can see the lock, come on, focus. The lock is unlocked. This gate is in fact not chained at all. But the child is so focused on the view beyond that it doesn't even realize it's not stuck in this situation. However, this child, this inner child, I think is what it's really speaking to, is needing our consoling, is needing to be looked at and assessed and just spoken to and acknowledged, so that we can take this leap of faith into the future. If the inner child has been left and abandoned, the ability to trust is so hampered. So a calling to look at this inner child so that we can leap forth in this new direction, leading to, again, I mean, interesting cards. So in yin we have exhaustion, yang, adventure. Now, I like that in terms of the previous card, that we're almost crisscrossing, it feels like, through these energies. So we go from the female, the outsider, to almost a key to how to look at this, the adventuring child, with that sense of wonder, remembering that the world isn't locking us out. And oh, what's that divine saying? Rejection is universal protection. I think it's something to that effect. So remembering that when we have been denied things, it's also because those are not the things that are correctly in line with us at the moment. So yes, I think redirecting this locked out child to that there's a new adventure on the horizon. There's a new adventure on the horizon. And now inwardly with this exhaustion, the fact that don't be deterred by the image. It is a difficult card, but it's also a 9 here, the 9 of fire. This is the ending of a cycle. And oh, I just saw, sorry, again, as I said, we're crisscrossing, so going from fire to fire, and then slap bang in the middle, our overall energy is traveling. So moving from these fire points, and I think as we were just saying with this lovely adventure card, there are new things to come. There's a new way of looking at things in a new light at the end of this tunnel, almost getting these tunnel visions here, all matching. So look to the light. There is a break in this situation, even though you are probably feeling absolutely finished, whatever's happening here in this love situation for you. And this doesn't, and please don't take this as You know, if you're in a wonderful, stable relationship, this is not necessarily for you. This is not saying that, you know, you're breaking up tomorrow, it's all ending. But even if something in here is resonating for you, it's that a pattern is a pattern is ending. And in that, we are creating a new pattern. And that's not something to be scared of. That's beautiful, because we are exhausted in this current pattern. Something needs to give here. Something needs to change. So the guidance here, our overall cards: female aspect guidance, male aspect control. Now, I think it's interesting that these are in reverse, in fact, because I'd be innately drawn to say that this is the energy we would probably be striving for, the dropping of the old self, the dropping of the ego, and flying more in our truth, more in ourself. And versus the Queen of Swords here, control. Now, of course, this is a queen, this is a mistress, a master of what she does. But the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Clouds, is doing things in a very harsh manner and not relinquishing into the breath of life, the ease of life. It's very much guarding ourselves against things. So in this space, I think yes, I think it's coming back to a relinquishing of, sorry, that's why I'm struggling with that so much. It's a relinquishing of the mind and trusting the inner process, even if it may seem backwards. I know that sounds very convoluted, but it is almost the switching of it. And then overall, this is making more sense. Overall, in the soul aspect, yin transformation, yang conditioning. Now, in Rider-Waite Tarot, these equate to death and the devil. So, funnily enough, almost similar energy, and it's saying we cannot deny our inner selves. We cannot project this mask. We cannot pretend to be something we're not, and particularly in a relationship, in close proximity, in love, that comes out. And we don't want to hide our innate selves. It's the beauty of being your innate self with somebody. And that's not to say that, you know, that gives you a free license to be absolutely abominable. It's also being vulnerable enough to witness someone at all states and allow them to witness you at all states, with equally enough respect for the other and self-respect to not make that a horrible situation. I feel, you know, we can dump on those closest to us, and it's also, those are, in fact, even though those are the places where we can feel safest to be ourselves, those are still the places where we need to conduct ourselves with, as if not as much respect as we do with strangers, even more respect, because these are the people that have our hearts. So, sorry, complete tangent, but you know, we need to be ourselves within reason, and we need to be brave enough to be ourselves with another, and equally to be brave enough to, what I'm getting here is lovingly thank and leave, thank and change, transform from a situation that is forcing us to be a lamb when we are a lion. If you are finding yourself constantly exhausted, constantly to hide who you are, that is not the correct situation, obviously. So really giving ourselves a hard look and going from this conditioned lion to not even the roaring lion, but again, allowing ourselves that grace to be a whole new person, even within a situation. I absolutely adore, I know my friends are so sick of me hearing me say her name, but Esther Perel, who just speaks on human interaction, human relationships. And one of the beautiful things she says on divorce is that many of us will have, no, I'm not divorced, but I really love this woman, okay? Anything she speaks on is brilliant. And yes, on divorce, she says, many of us will have multiple marriages, often with the same person. And so one relationship will often die when something occurs in that. I mean, a huge break in the trust, obviously, but one relationship is dead. And would you like to continue another relationship with the same person? So yes, I think giving ourselves the grace to change, because we do dramatically through our lives, obviously. All right. Then moving into our internal aspects. So currently I'm going to just do these one by one. So in the intimacy, we have fighting. Now, I think this can be or in fact, let's do it like this. So this is the internal meldings, if you will, and the external meldings, if you will. So, or the above, below. So outwardly, what we are seeing is fighting, but what I'm getting in conjunction with the master is not, in fact, fighting with the self. I think what is probably happening is a process of needing to come to self-mastery, and it's very difficult to do that within a relationship because we are worried about the other. There's so many more people in that situation versus when it is us focused on ourselves. And of course, that's not to say it's not doable in conjunction with a partner, but I think also just maybe a reminder that if there is conflict, remember that the conflict in fact probably has less to do with your situation and more to do with the fact that both of you are coming internally to your own self-mastery and then needing to reassess, are we going to start on this new journey with each other or on a new journey with ourselves? I'm also just getting here these shapes. It's very much in a cup shape, and just the thing of needing to be autonomous and solid in oneself and replenishing of one's own cup in order to give to another. The beautiful Kahil Gibran, which I think many people take as the authority of, we share each other's cup, but we each drink from our own cup. So I just like that separation almost of the two coming together with the master. So the alchemy, the magic that is being offered here, is rainbows on both counts. moment to moment and compromise. Now, I think what is imperative here is to remember, especially again, because this is in the same aspect, if there are moments of fighting or if there is intense fighting, try to avoid what they call kitchen sinking. Sorry, is this a love reading or a therapy session? Esther Perel, seriously, check her out. She is just incredible. I don't even have words. But going from, sorry, let me get my thoughts. If there is a lot of fighting, needing to remember that, oh yes, not kitchen sinking, trying to focus on the present moment. If there is something right now that is troubling you, focus on that, I think, versus this always happens, you always do this. It's the present moment. And when we do come back to the present moment, there are so many wonderful, bright, light things happening. I haven't actually picked these up before, but I'm seeing all these geometric shapes. It's amazing. You always see something new. So I think we can get bogged down by the sharp corners, the problems. And if you come back into that moment, you're there with your beloved. They're smiling at you. What else? I don't mean to sound flippant, but what else could be wrong? When we come back to the moment, there's a lot more lightness. And then internally, what is being warned of with compromise? It's a very strange card, even Osho in his interpretation, but what is being warned of is self-compromise. More than saying you are needing to compromise in your relationship, this is a severe warning card of the pitfalls of compromising the self and how we can fall into the category of really thinking that we are meeting another halfway. And of course that's necessary, especially in a relationship. Compromise is always necessary, but beware of where you are letting yourself down fundamentally for the other. You cannot give from an empty cup, as we were saying with those. It's a severe warning card of return to your heart space, check your heart space, and make sure that you are not compromising yourself, your values. And our overall blessing, the source, and if that needed clarification, ordinariness. Coming back to yourself, checking in with yourself, and remembering that is where we will also always find the other, because the source is where we are connected with all. And if you're looking for where to find that, in the garden, absolutely in the garden, in nature. If we cannot, I was listening to a style like you, lovely if you haven't heard of them. But this woman speaking of how she couldn't believe, looking at nature, how anyone could be atheist or agnostic, or just how very looking at anything in nature gives one faith, because it's all so interconnected. So if you are seeking source, go back to the garden. That's where it is. That's where you'll find you. And that's equally where, we find ourselves, we find everything else. And so the great things beyond, I just want to go from that source card to absolutely overall traveling. So the fact that I think this is so lovely, going from the close-up of the sun to this far away of the sun, do it like that rather, and that it's the coming back into the self, but that this almost speaks of there's still yet so much more to come. This is everything. This is your all. This is your heart. This may be what you're feeling right now is all consuming, but give it a moment and it will be that far away. And there's a new sun on the horizon. There is so much more to come, no matter what you find yourself in, positive or negative. So take heed. This is a new, I feel like this keeps sort of coming up, but that's affirming, actually, more than repetitive, of this is a new time. This is a completely blank slate that we are being given. It's almost like the cosmic chapter's been turned over and truly we can write a new chapter. So, beautiful ones, I'll leave you where we actually ended, because how apt. We are returning to the full energy and we are being given this absolutely new blank canvas, new slate. Just gorgeous. So, I hope that this has been whatever message you needed, a rather unconventional love reading, but how else would it be? So, happy Mirror Day, blessed 11/11, and all my love to you.